So just give it a minute for some of the people to kind of trickle in here, and I'll see who all comes in. In the meantime, I should probably get something to cut this up with. Hey there, Renato. RZB! Welcome. So, in this box is an RC car. Probably guessed that already, being as you know who I am, right? So, back when I was just starting with RC cars, a friend of mine let me run his buggy. To do, like, how far back? I was still using that when it was a monster truck to race with. Probably not the best racer, but I hadn't gotten the double X yet, so I had to do what I had to do, right? So, he let me run his buggy, which I have in here. It's not the same one, unfortunately. I wish it was. That would be very cool. It's a little rough around the edges. It is an eBay find. If I was lucky, it's somebody's car, and that would be fine too. If it's not somebody's car, as rough as around the edges as it is, and as stock as it is for the time period, I wouldn't. There would be no love lost in putting a nice brushed system in it and running it in vintage glass. So I'll probably do that. But we'll have to see if this thing actually, if this thing was owned by somebody important or not first. I don't know how I'm going to do that, since RC cars don't exactly have VIN numbers and a DMV system. But, that's whatever, right? So, I hope it's not not beat up from the travel. It's been dinged up here, and when I turn this around in a second, I'll show you how stuffed into this little box this thing is. It's kind of ridiculous. So, flat on this side for the most part. If you come over here, yeah, that's that could have been, that they could have been done a better job than that, but they didn't. So that's fine. I'm not that worried about it. I'm more worried about what's in it, and I'm just hoping it's not any more beat up than what I saw in the pictures. So we're working on getting this done. Kind of tape up everywhere. Fine. I do have some off it. Sting, and it's been kind of but for the last few days here. Oh, it's upside down. Of course it's upside down, right? Okay. So now I know what's right side up and what's upside down. That'll help. It's good. Alright. Oh, there it comes then. there's the back of it. Some of you probably already can tell what this is by now. This explains the maraca sound. Nothing else in the box. Alright. Good deal. So, first time you, first time me. Gentleman I bought it from told me this was a gold pan chassis. It's not. As a matter of fact, I can tell most of this is not associated. This whole front plate, I can tell, is not an associated part. I'm fairly sure this front shock tower isn't. This roof does have aluminum steering, so I guess that's kinda cool. I really wish this was an actual associated car though. But that's okay. I'm gonna get this whole beastie of a radio system out of the way. I did tell him not to clean this thing up at all. I wanted to see it just the way it was in its bare form. Simply because I wanted to see if I could find out if it was somebody's. I highly doubt it was somebody's, or at least not original, not when this was put in, because like, who does that? So maybe it wasn't somebody's. That's fine. I'm not worried about it. Given the age of the car, kind of to be expected. So it has a Futaba steering servo to match that receiver. It's an FPS32, which I'm really going to bet used to be on an airplane, or was meant for an airplane. It's a very short stature. It's not very big. Like I said, I don't think this is an original associated chassis. There's just too much wrong with it. I mean, it might be. Somebody who's done associated bunch is going to have to kind of verify it, but there's an A stamp there. But I expected if it was going to be an actual RC10 or an original RC10, that it would be a gold pan. And this looks more like something somebody just handmade. It was the 80s, so I mean, who knows? This thing's old enough. There's supposed to be some sort of manual speed control here, up in the top here. So shed some light on the subject if I can. So it was set up there. It's at least missing half of of the manual speed control portion of the program here. And somebody made those go there. But come to the back, and it is a 6-gear transmission. Much of these pieces look like they originally were dyed purple, which is rather interesting. It almost looks like it has Tamiya rims on it. And tires. Inside this other tire says TR8412. So this is either somebody's custom job and maybe they took all the anno off of it, or the production bar, that very well could be. That's a standard resistor, okay? That you find there. I kind of figured it was. It's actually one of the reasons I bought the car, is because I saw the manual speed control on it, and I knew the thing hadn't been ran since, well, to use a phrase my dad said, since Christ was a corporal. I mean, he's been sitting forever. And it's not scratched up per se. Get a little bit on corners, but like this isn't what I know of as a standard associated piece up here. This front piece. It's just way too wide. So like I said, I don't know if that's somebody's custom thing. But it apparently is meant to go with the arms. This is all one big kit, and that moves everything out. So I don't know what kind of rare duck this actually is, but fairly sure it is a rare duck. Funny thing is, you go to the back here, and I mean, I know my camera isn't going to show it for beans, but it actually says Team Lucy on the spur gear, and it's 64 pitch. So yeah, I do think it is a wider aftermarket front end. I just I'm going to have to track down whose wider front end it is. So I'll have to get a hold of my buddy Chris and see what he has to say about it. Force him to watch this video or something, right? They picking the leaves off, because yeah, I told him you leave all the dirt, and still got all the dirt rusties and turbo tapes and all that fun stuff stuck in there. I don't see a single manufacturer name or anything on this. This wider front end. So now the crazy thing that makes me wonder, yeah, the pen cars would use it. The 12s and 10s, the L cars, yeah. So the crazy thing that makes me wonder is, at the time this RC10 would have come out, originally, like first 1-2 runs of the car. So like it is Nappan. Gil Rossi actually worked, or at least Gil Rossi Jr. I know worked for Associated. So I know it's a long shot to think, you know, it'd be like Rossi's car, but it came from Brentwood, so who knows, right? And that's no slouch of a servo for the time. I mean, that's a pretty pretty expensive servo for the time period. It's crusty, but you know what? Transmission itself smooth. Being 6 gear, the differential and the slipper clutch are one and the same. They're all up here. So I kind of expected it to be crunchy. They all are. Every single one of them. And I don't... This rear shock tower isn't one I've seen on an Associated before either. And I don't mean this glass part, which bears striking resemblance to a double X part. Quite a bit, actually. Except instead of the bolt holes being lined up, then the bolt holes are spread wider on the bottom than the top. But the crazy part is, if I can get this little pug to move, this mount here has an extra row, but it's strikingly similar to a double X. 3 across, by 3 top to bottom. So there's that. But like I said, this rear shock, or this rear transmission busted out and such, it's all strikingly low-seat. It's trying to run away. Good, it still has some spirit left in it, right? So, into here, this right here, this battery holder is actually molded. Yeah, it's actually molded into the back of this captured plate. So this back hole, it's kind of all one piece here. Yeah, I had him leave all the grease on it. I did not want him cleaning this thing up at all because I wanted to see all the rust and all the perfections and everything that went into it originally. I'm going to take this off so I can get a better look down here. Because I want to see what's going on with that. So I used to race an RC10. It was a black pen though, so it was like a second gen. But it didn't have all this wide front end gobbledygook going on. It was much narrower, wider front tires, but the front end was narrower because the kick plate on that, the front bumper kick plate thing on that, was literally just about as wide as the bars, the brace tubes. Which, yeah, it makes me kind of wonder. I'm also thinking this was last used before the invention of silicone shock oil, because that stuff looks like it's motor oil leaking out of there. I mean, my goodness. To get me a rag. Just fine. I don't mind that. So, shocks are held in on the front with a pin and an Allen screw in the back of the arm, which holds the pin. Kind of reminds, like I said, double X is where the bulkhead has a Allen keyed screw in it to keep that center pin from going anywhere, which made 0 cents to me, because the pin can't walk out anyway. It always hits the side of the bulkhead, so I never understood why they did that. The part that actually kind of really sucks most is I got rid of most of my RC10 parts probably about 10 years ago. I got rid of all of those. But as I was getting to before, you can see this, you can see better now. The battery tray is dirty as all you know who. Yeah, that helps. The battery tray is actually molded to this or bulkhead. They're all one piece. And this chassis is supposed to have screws right here on each side to actually go into that bulkhead. But they are missing. That's fine. I don't mind that. This back's all dirty, but it appears to be a race prep motor. I'm not entirely sure, because with the 64 pitch gearing, it's all pushed up on the way. So I don't know what we're at in right now, but that is kind of the cool thing, is I know it is a ancient motor. It's an old motor. It has the crushed sides right here, so it's going to be an old 27 turn stock motor from, well, old messes from forever ago. So there's no secret there. But I do wonder quite a bit about whose arms these are. Especially for the front. Because that whole front end is different than this whole mess is different than any other RC10 I've ever seen. So I'm going to have to track down whose this stuff is. It's been raced. It's got scratches. I mean, it's all scratched along the side, front end all scratched. Got some really weird screws in it, but it never looks like it was painted at all. Parts were dyed. They originally were white, so I mean, maybe they are original associated RC10 parts, and they're just very early production, so that's why I don't know of them. I have to figure out something on this. This one's cracked right here. It's, yeah, this guy right here is cracked. So I can probably find that part. It was traced, though. We do have some clay stuck in some of the screws here. So that's kind of interesting to know. The red fiberglass front shock tower is kind of special too. So I have no idea what's going on with that at all. But I should be able to get. I do want to find out if this thing has ball bearings bushings. So yeah, I know a lot of people dyed their parts in the 80s. Which is kind of why I want to know whose car this was. Because yes, while a lot of people dyed their parts purple and red, purple and red, with the purple and white off camera. Who else besides the female would do that? I mean, I'm sure there's some guys out there, but it really makes me wonder whose it was, because I really don't think these were, like off-the-shelf parts. So, I mean, maybe they were, but I just can't see very many people dyeing their parts purple and red. Sorry about that, but yeah, I picked up a cold or something, and it's been kicking my butt for the past couple days, so it is what it is there. TR8412, couldn't tell you whose that is right now. I can tell you it's a 2-piece rim, so I've seen a couple of these. I had a set of these at one point in time as part of the old RC stuff, the old RC10 stuff I sold. I don't even know if I sold it as much as just like, here you go kid, whatever. Things we do and end up kicking ourselves in the butt for later. It does have ball bearings in the back at least, so it was meant to do some racing at one point, and like I said, Team Losi. So the first time I've ever seen a Losi spur here that had the holes for the bulbs for the differential, which they are there, they are present. No, I'm not going to take this one off, but those are there. It does have the differential balls up in here, and they are all there, so I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to put this back on. Like I said, there's clay or mud or something stuck in it, so it's been to a racetrack, and probably an indoor racetrack. It appears to be an indoor racetrack where they ran wall side a lot here. You see all the rims all got curb brush on this side. But on that side, not so much. It's actually for getting off the bead, but I can figure that out later. The 6-gear transmission does have all ball bearings in it, which is nice. So, that's good. We got mismatched fronts going on up here. So, let's see if I can. Newer Losi rims. They're newer Losi rims. Not new. It's still standard because everything I got's either XX or XXX. If I don't have any 22s. So, I think there's a bushing on the other side on the front. this one is bearing. I only got one bearing when I pulled this off. The other one stayed with the axle. So definitely will need clean, but then again it's coming off the bead now too. So if I do put this back into service, if I find out that it's like not anybody particularly special who own this, then it will get brand new bearings and whatnot like that. But the fun part's going to be finding a 3-gear stealth transfer. That finding a new transmission for this thing is going to be a monumental pain in my keister. So, one bearing and one bushing. So I'll be on the hunt for some bearings for this. These are all flanged though, which is kind of weird. I didn't expect to flange bearings throughout this thing, but there they are. Front wheels are 2-piece, just like the rears. They're not just there for show. The bolts wear out, I can just put together. I don't have to worry about it. So yeah, that's the basic core of it. Now the crazy thing is I now have this, right? And at one point in time, these two buggies, they're my double X, and I have this old aluminum RC10. At one point in time, these two buggies would roam the exact same dirt course. So, Losi actually, as far as I remember, Losi came out with the plastic graphite chassis type dealy bop before the RC10 did. Before the B2, which is the generation after this car, before it came out, Associated, I believe it was, did do a plastic chassis for this. That is very, very rare buggy to have now. You'll find the aluminum ones. You won't find the plastic ones though. So, if you find an associated car with the same dealy bop as this, but it has a plastic chassis, that's kind of a one-off. Collectors like to have chances are it was raced by somebody, because you kind of had to have lots of cash to do that. Actually, plastic kit for this was like $120 back in the early 90s, late 80s. And the double X had, I believe, it wasn't a set like this, but yeah, JRX series came out with a flash chassis. Yeah, and they got a carbon chassis instead later, like this graphite chassis. A friend of mine gave me this car many years ago. Gave me this car, so that's why it's not going anywhere. But yeah, the B2 was a drastic difference between the original one and this RC10 and the B2 were just so different a car, because once Gil Losi Jr. left Associated and went and started Losi with his dad, Associated kind of fell behind for a little bit, so they had to back on the ball pretty quick. And things like this went by the wayside because back then, when this car was new, we didn't have lipos. None of this lightweight guy polymer garbage. Okay, none of that. We had good old-fashioned brick batteries. They weigh a ton. Okay, and that's what went in these things. So because of that, you quickly got these things up to, with all the ancient electronics and the brick batteries, you would easily get these things up into like 5.5 pound range, and that with a modified motor, you were lucky to get 2 minutes run time. Like, at 2 minutes, you turned it on, you got 2 minutes. That's it. That's. Don't take any practice laps. You better go out there and do it, because you're end up with a dead battery. If you run stock, you might get 4 minutes. And I've got my big batteries. I was showing you. These are 33s. Back then, I remember 1300s. I remember 1300s. So. Yeah, they weren't nickel metal. They were, NiCads. Yeah. They were ancient NiCads. Everybody had to, weld their own together. So, if you wanted a good pack of batteries, you had to find somebody to match it for you. Yeah. I don't even have any batteries that old down here. So. But, yeah, it's a little bit off though. See, NiCads were nicer in that they didn't have the cell memory that nickel metal does. So, believe NiCads like to be stored discharged, so that was kind of nice. At the end of the day, you could just put them away. Whereas nickel metals, they want you to charge them right afterwards and store them fully charged. So depends on what you do. Yeah, in '89 2400s, I remember 2400 was a big thing, but I never liked them. For some reason, just the 2400s, you got more run time, of course, because you need a bigger pack, but it didn't have the punch. Like, it didn't seem to have the snappiness that even the old NiCads had, the 1500s and stuff like that. They seemed to be snappier. But for some reason, she got into the 2400s. They were heavy, and they just didn't have the punch. So, I do know the NiCads had bad cell memory, but as I remember, you didn't have to have them charged. And if you ran one down, they weren't as bad to come back up. So, but actually, we had memory, you could ignore them more. And as long as you had a chance to put some time into them a little bit later, and you had the fancy dancy stuff like the Novak battery tray I got upstairs, stuff like that, and a good charger, you can bring them back. I mean, I think I finally got rid of all my NiCads, but if I had some, I could probably make them work. Which is kind of the weird and trippy part. So, this guy out of the way. I threw in a... Oh, lighting horrible. I threw in an old Kinwald motor today, so that when I was playing around with this, and while it's sitting up on my shelf up there, it doesn't run away. We're going to have these two sitting up next to each other, and I'll probably try and find a clear body for this. Old RC10, they should have one. Yeah. I can't tell you what the copyright date is on that right now, but I can tell you it's old enough that job is made in Japan. I would bet that everything's made in China right now. Everything. This is why it takes so long to find anything anymore. So, there's that. Hey there. So, I will have to invest some time and pick the heads of a few people and see exactly what it is. RC10 truck, yeah, that would be cool to have. I pay $115 for this, with all the perks and features that he does calls it, right? So, and you know what, I wasn't heard about paying $115 for it. He wanted $189 on eBay, and how much I know. I'm not paying $200 for what looked like in pictures. I mean, it's supposed to be a gold pen. Yeah, it says A, but like, I'm not seeing anything that ever said it was gold ever in its life. So, I don't know about that. I wasn't going to do that. It's at least first generation. It does still have its 6th gear. So, do know it's first gen. What I need to know is how far back first gen. The fact that the servo plug is backwards. No. I'll turn the spotlight off. Maybe it'll help, but I don't know if you guys can see it, but that's actually got pins on the servo side instead of having pins in the receiver itself. So, that's backwards. I don't know how many of you who are gonna watch this later are familiar with that setup, but it's the only reason I'm gonna dive into this right now. Why I'm turning my back, you guys. Only so much room, you know, right? So, set up there. Perfect. G-plug. Okay. By the time I started racing, that was gone. So that's how I know it's before me. It's pre-95, and I know that. So by the time I started racing, they had already gone to not blue, but they had already gone to like regular, what we know as a standard connection. And they had gotten rid of this. Funny thing is, I actually have one more of these receivers where it's plug-in like that. But it must have had that way the heck over there. That's the only servo tape that matches well. Yeah, they had it wedged up like that. Up against the side of the chassis. I don't know why they'd have that. Whatever. To each their own, right? Since you're steering a double X, it has an electronic servo in it. It is a 94-737. It's been a whole lot more reliable than Boeing 737. I'll tell you that right now. I've only ever had to buy that thing once. So, because when my friend gave it to me, it was a roller without any electronics. Sure, was my fault. But that's alright. Thinking about ditching my flame paint job on this one and just getting another clear body from old RC, which is forget the guy's name, but yeah, I'll have to get another body for this, and I'm gonna paint it the same orange as Steve had it when I was given it. So, trying to take it back to its original roots at some point. Stopped using G-plugs in the mid-80s and everybody went to a J-plug, but electronics. Other companies would change the order of the wires. Yeah, I remember having to pop wires apart. That officially sucked. I hated doing that. Popping them little wires apart and the plastic tab breaks and then what, right? It's not like you could just find it back then. But that craziness wasn't worth the hassle. So, like I said, this is not going to end up getting these electronics put back in, no matter what. I'm just putting it all back together of sorts so that I don't lose this stuff, because I'm not that great at that whole not losing things. Alright, so if my fingers are tiny and can't do this, then how in the heck, there we go. Oh, got that. And I'll put the antenna tube back on. It's like they wholesale dipped this thing in purple. I mean, the end of the antenna tube's purple. So, kind of weird, right? But, alright, whatever. So, I'm not gonna tear into this thing. Like I said, I'm not gonna tear into it. Because I want to know who had it before, and specifically when it was made. Because I'm fairly sure some of these parts are going to be like this particular year, that particular year. It might come down to which month the car was. Just because some of the special conversion stuff, like the front end and that rear bulkhead, because the original ones, as far as I knew, the battery was this one. Like, the original ones, battery sat in it, there. And this one, it's front rear. So, front rear, as far as I knew, was like Gen 2. So, excuse me. Yeah, it's very rare. It's very weird, though. I don't know how rare it is, but it's like really weird. So are these tires. I've never seen those before. But like even the ancient Kale Propo I've got. I have to turn some light back on. Speaking of, let's not destroy the flashlight. Like even the old Kale Pro I've got, I have it etched up here which one's signal negative and positive is. When I ran it in the monster truck, I had to flip back and forth. I know you had the option, but dang it. The cars you had an option in, they had two of these, and I don't doubt it's drilled for two of them. And I don't doubt that at one point in time it probably had a Crossways battery. But it sure as heck doesn't now. And that's all connected to your bulkhead. And the low CDRX, which you pointed out, Buggy and Truck did that, where that pedal out of carrier. And then Traxxas, the Traxxas cars had a wood bulkhead mode like that too. I had one for not the SRT TCP package, but the one that came before it, like the Eradicator and stuff like that. I got hold of one of those bulkheads. For a sledgehammer. That's right, it's for a sledgehammer, but Traxxas, they used the same, pretty much the same transmission since the beginning. Just the cases were slightly different depending on what bulkhead it was attaching to. But it had that molded, pretty tight hold down as well. So it is very interesting though. Cause stuff like I mean the steering linkage is actually metal. It's like those cranks are actually aluminum. And I wouldn't think it would have aluminum there. So, not entirely sure. It's definitely not like I've seen, not any of them I've seen before. Kind of all by itself. So, it is weird though. But that's fine too. I kind of like weird ducks. This is probably as old as the pulling sled I have. I have an old Dragon Wagon pull sled that came from SoCal RC Raceway. They closed, they started throwing stuff out the back door, and I started putting it in my El Camino. If you're going to throw it away, I'll take it. That was one of the things they were going to throw away was that Dragon Wagon. So I gladly took it off their hands. I have another double buggy upstairs that they were throwing out the door. I'm like, I'll take it, thanks. It's an original pre-CR, so before I got the conversion hubs and all that stuff on it, which is fine. That truck is all set up for the CR edition, but I have another truck that's set up exactly the same original spec as the Double X truck I got for the very first time to start my racing career, in which everybody kind of pitched pennies together, and they had a little box behind the counter, all in order to try and get me a race truck. And I was using MT. If anybody's from watches this and they're from SoCal days, when it was in Garden Grove before it was in Fountain Valley, so going back in time. MT's first name's Mike. I couldn't tell you what his last name was, but a real cool brother. I think he works at either Pegasus or Hot Rod Hobbies now, or at least used to. But yeah, he was the one who let me run his buggy. So maybe he sees this. If you do, Mike, and you do see this eventually, let me know if you still have the RC10. I might be willing to make a deal with you. I'm a little bit more well off now than I was when I was young. Kind of happens when you grow up. So that is that on this. This is RC car number 22 in the fleet. Yeah, I've got that many. Sitting out here, we've got. Here's my figure. Okay. This is the SMT's rack. This is the Stampede's rack. Yep, my double X DCR is there. I got my double X buggy down just for this. What was sitting up on the top rack before was my husband's Hobbytown monster truck. Hilo, I think it was. I don't know. He can't get him to run his trucks, so I put it upstairs. And I put it upstairs because that way I can have this buggy and that buggy sitting up there where I can see it. So, didn't want to use it. He gets kicked out of the room. And it's already merged, so he doesn't want to play with it, so heck of fun. Let me see if I can get my Saturn iron to make enough room. Put two buggies next to it. Let me grab something so especially spoofs so you could see it, because you'll enjoy this. Alright. I am short, and that is way up there. So, all you can see is the bucket, of course. Yeah! I'm gonna have to stand at my screen door to make this work, right? But this is a 80s-ish piece of artwork all by itself. It is a dragon wagon, and that's what it was. Originally is and was. Always been. It's a dragon wagon. What happens when you have too many RC cars? You end up trying to figure out where you're going to put all of them while you're showing them all off, right? Should have put them back up. Oh. top, but hey, whatever. I'll do that later. So, the only thing I added to this was a front catcher from the factory, I guess you'd say. All it has is a skid. I wanted to go for some more realism, so it does have a dirt collector to actually keep the dirt there. It has its chain. This is the original chain. Has to be. As far as I can tell, it has all the original string and everything like that. The basket's original. I had that quite a few times because it's just ancient and falling apart. So that's kind of that is what it is. I'm having a case of the fallen mouse. It's falling on the ground. I'm making complicated and there's always my phone making noise. But yeah, that thing's so big I can't get it in focus. So here's the front. There's the back. That's the basket. So it does go. I don't remember which one. There we go. So, and that axle in the basket still does go up, just like it's due. All that works. Not meant up, not heat up. I probably did lower its proper dash seat. I went back over this with pen. Now back over this with pen. Kind of bringing the colors back out. I don't know better. Plus, I actually plan on using this, so I didn't really care if I made the colors pop on it or not. It's been a grudge though for ever. So it has a nice patina. No, that's yeah. My computer got had a hit. My computer had a fit for a second. What I was saying is there was enough dust out of the thing to build another RC track with. So, just hanging out in my garage and whatnot. Basically, give a spot home in the house now. So it's gotta be a lot happier being in here. But is what is there. I don't know about math, so I don't know. Man, it's what? You spoof and spoof? Oh. Swoof. Like a dog? It's you and me. I don't know how much longer you want or need or can hang out. Never mind my beer belly. Let's put this guy back up. I hope you're not as short as I am, man. Kinda sucks being short. You know that? Oh. You might not know that. Probably a taller individual. So, that This. So, but that's all that's happening here. I did break the axle on Going Crazy again. Alright, man, take care. I'm not for the stream anyway. I was gonna show you, looks like a dog itself got a hold of it. So it's now 2 pieces with a broken axle. So I'm gonna be bringing the other truck with the motor in it tonight. Alright. Take care. I too will be signing off. So everybody stay safe, take care, have fun with your RCs, and don't let people tell you what to do, alright? Alright.